thank you as we continue with Module 2. Just to recap, we talked about responding, how you should respond. Remember, we started by setting up our email folders based on two simple folders: who owe you and who do you owe. Everything else can be placed into what I call potpourri, which is a mix of all the other stuff or not important. And so those are the only two folders you really, when it comes to building a successful business and staying focused and being able to prioritize, those are the only two folders you should be moving people in and out of: people who owe you something or people whom you owe. And I gave the example of invoices, contracts, things of that nature. Now we want to talk about breaking free from the information trap. If you're worried about that you won't have enough time to get everything done because you have so many hours in the day, and you feel like I don't have enough time in the day, the truth of the matter is you have the same amount of time as everyone else, 24 hours, of which some of that time is eaten up with sleep, eating, exercise, or should be exercising. And so really, we all have the same amount of time. And so you hear people say, I need to practice time management. I'm going to talk about that later on and ask the question, can you really manage time, or is time managing you? And I believe that really it's not that we're trying to manage time, but how are we ourselves dealing with the time that we have? And so if you're really worried then about news articles, instead of reading a whole paper, you know what I suggest? Especially for those of you that feel like, hey, when I go to work, part of my job is to be abreast of world affairs. Just read the headlines. Generally, the way newspapers are written, they're written so you get the gist of everything you need to know from the headlines or the subline, or it might be just a quick blurb. That's all you need. You don't have to worry about the details and all of that. Those are for you just absolutely say, I have to know what's going on in the world. I personally believe if it's really that important, trust me, people will tell you. More than you ever wanted to know, people will tell you. That's just the way life is. I know people who have not watched the news in 5 years, and yet they still know what's going on in the world. Because if it's really important, people will talk about it. You will hear about it. And so you don't have to be what I call a news junkie, where you're addicted to the news, especially because most of all the news is out there is trash or bad news, depressing. And you wonder why you're dealing with a lot of negative energy, negative thoughts, poor energy, is because you're being inundated with negative information day in and day out. And so that's one way of breaking free from the information trap. Also, we talked about with your emails. Schedule time. I only check my emails 3 times a day. I only spend 7 minutes. 7 minutes in the morning, 7 minutes after lunch, and 7 minutes in the late afternoon checking emails. And after that, it can wait till the following day. Because if it's really important, then guess what? I have an email, I have a text, and somebody will call. But again, I'm only working from the premise of who owe me something and who do I owe that's waiting on me. Everything else, like I said before, can wait. We also talked about, and this will help you as well break free from the information trap, is making sure that you set your focus list daily. Some people will set theirs at the end of the day. Some will set theirs in the morning. For me personally, I get up around 3:45 every single day, 5 days a week. So for me, I take 7 minutes of relaxation, meditation to clear my mind, to focus on nothing but just being present. And also for me, saying my prayers and just really study some scripture or something positive, something motivational that feed my spirits, feed my soul, feed my mind. That's my ritual. Yours may be a little different, but you want to have those 7 minutes of uninterrupted time to sort of figure out what it is you need to do, you need to get done for that day, and just simply being present without thinking about anything, to train your mind to recalibrate, to refocus, and to get rid of what I said earlier, the googly goo gob and all of the stuff, bad dreams, bad juju, whatever you want to call it, negative energy, and just start your day off. And so for me, I set my focus list early in the morning of 1 to 3 things. The first thing I'm going to get done, let's say between 5 a.m. to 8 a.m. And then take a break or something, eat breakfast. And then from 9, let's say, to 11, I might put another task or project that I need to be working on. And then midday, late midday, and then the evening. And that works great for me. Also, work without opening your email. You'll be surprised of stuff that you already need to be working on, and you don't need to open up your emails. You got plenty of things in your inbox that you should be working on, because what happens is you start working on, let's say, something that's in your inbox, right? Or you've printed out an email, you start answering it, or maybe you read an article, and all of a sudden, boop, you got that notification, another email, you open that up. Next thing you know, you got 4 or 5 different windows open. And that's another suggestion when it comes to breaking free from the information trap, is only work with one window open. What I mean by window is the tab in your computer. Instead of having multiple windows on, which number one is going to slow down your computer speed, just work with one window open at a time. And for me, I use a double screen. And so I might have, for example, my emails are on one screen that I'm responding to, and then I might have another window that is open, or a lot of times I have just that one window open, and I might just have on the other screen my dream board, my focus board. And so when I'm working, it's always in the forefront of my mind. That's a great suggestion for a lot of you that have multiple screens open. If you're going to have a screen open, just make sure it's your goals. Make sure it's your focus list. Make sure it's your dream board. And also, as I mentioned, you want to prioritize. Prioritize by amount of time. Timestamp everything. And that will help you deal with the information trap, because the information trap is all about, you say, I'm just going to check my email for 2 minutes. And before you know it, you've been reading emails for the next 30, 40, 2 hours. And you haven't started working on the work that needs to get done. And so, even though we talked a lot about distraction, let me say this also. Make room for healthy distractions. For example, sometimes it's good to take a break. Maybe you've been we talked about this, working in periods of, let's say, 15 minutes, and then changing your state to work on something else. Maybe you're working on something that requires a deadline, and you're working for 45 minutes. Never work longer on any one project longer than 45 minutes, and then take a 5 to 7 minute break, and then come back. That might be standing up. You notice in a previous video, I did that video standing up, changing my state. And so you want to alternate between sitting and standing. So you're not doing everything sitting down, but you also can stand up and get some things done. And so you want to make room for healthy distraction. Now, what's a healthy distraction? Getting a drink of water is a healthy distraction. Taking time out to listen to a song. Like for me, when I'm working on a major project, I will take about 3 minutes and just listen to Eye of the Tiger, man, or something of that nature. Is going to get me pumped up. It's a nice break. It might be calling someone. During that break, you might want to make all your quick calls. For example, maybe you have 3 people on your job that are ill. That's a great opportunity to just say, hey, I just wanted to reach out to you and say I was thinking about you. I know that you're dealing with some issues that don't want to take a lot of your time. And just reach out to people, let them know that you're thinking about them, you care about them, and that's a nice, healthy break. Maybe also, somebody, a friend you haven't seen in a long time, and you say, you know what, I'm going to take some time to hang out with a friend I haven't talked with in a while, because it's not always about the work. Sometimes it's about building healthy, sustainable relationships. And so that concludes Module 2. Now in Module 3, we're going to talk about how to get rid of the clutter. Yes, organization is key to not just getting focused, refocusing, but also is essential to help you sustain your focus. So stay with us. And hey, remember, let's celebrate. I'm glad you have concluded Module 2. Let's get started, and I will see you in Module 3.